All right. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. This is our first patient panel webinar, and we're featuring real patients treated with the Zephyr Valves. My name is Dana Wilkie. I'm on the marketing team here. And November is a very special month. We have Thanksgiving, we've got football, holiday shopping, but more importantly, we have COPD Awareness Month. And so we wanted to sort of close out COPD Awareness Month and hear from patients who were treated with Zephyr Valves and to share their story. So we will have time to answer your questions in the Q&A box that will be at the bottom of your screen. So if you have any questions, feel free to type those in. Throughout the webinar, we'll be able to answer some of them live, but some of them we'll ask the broader group and have each of the patients go ahead and answer them. If we don't get to answer your question, we'll send you a follow-up email after the webinar to get your questions answered. And about a week or so after this webinar, we'll send an email to everyone with the link to the recorded webinar. This is our fifth webinar in our series for 2022. As you can see, we've had sort of everything you might want to know about Zephyr Valves, the testing, understanding the procedure, and then this one is, like I said, our first one featuring real patients that have been treated. If you want to view the other ones online, you can go to mylungsmylife.com/webinars, and all of those are there on demand for you. So here are our awesome speakers. We have three patients today. Randy Ayers from Virginia, Jack Garros from Florida, and then Pamela Davis from Indianapolis. We do want to, just remind everyone, these stories, are based on each patient's unique experience, and of course, results, may vary patient to patient. So first off, we have a Randy. This is her with her horse Waylon, and she is back to riding her horse. I think she's had him for almost 30 years, Randy?
I had him for 26. He's 31.
He is 31, but man, that's a long, beautiful friendship you guys have.
It has been. Life before, it didn't hit me, at first. It's kind of like a gradual problem. And it started when I couldn't get my breath doing easy things that I used to do. And it was horrible. You just don't think it's going to happen to you. And then all of a sudden you can't breathe.
When did you kind of start to notice that your breathing was really bad?
In 2019, I couldn't take care of my house, couldn't take care of the barn and my horse. It was just too much on my body. I couldn't do it. So I had to sell it and move in with my mother and sister, which that was good. That was the Golden Girls.
How did you hear about the Zephyr Valve procedure?
My doctor. I went in for a checkup, and he was on a fellowship. So he was seeing me, and he told me that I think there's a procedure out there you would be really interested in. So then I talked to my actual pulmonologist, and we did the test to see if I was going to pass him, and I did. So then we set up a time, but then COVID hit. So we had to kind of wait around for that. And then eventually they lifted the bans in the hospital. Piece of cake.
Awesome. Piece of cake. That's good. What were your, before going into the procedure, you're in the hospital, what were you kind of feeling?
Well, I was a little nervous, I got to say, because, it's a bronchoscopy. And you do go to sleep for a little bit, but then you wake up and you're fine. You don't have all that grogginess of a lot of anesthesia. So I stayed in the hospital a couple of days, and then I got released, no problems. And then gradually you start noticing the breathing coming back.
Gotcha. Yeah. When you first woke up, what did it feel like? Did you notice a difference?
It's not something that's, instantaneous. It just took a little while.
And then how did having the Zephyr Valves impact your life?
Well, I could go back to the barn and actually start grooming my horse without getting out of breath and not having to use oxygen. And then I could get on him and ride with no tank. I've ridden with the tank on with a back. It's a backpack kind because I still didn't want to give up riding.
Yeah. So that, I mean, man, he's a strong horse. He's got you. He had your oxygen. He's just does whatever he's asked.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
You're back to riding your horse. What else are you looking forward to?
Well, camping, which we went in September, and that was nice to be able to do that again. Oh shoot, my door just blew open. Excuse me.
Oh my.
Whoa. Hang on.
Yeah, it looks awfully rainy. Oh my goodness.
Well, yeah, it just started. It was fine. It was fine earlier. Now it just started back up again.
Man. But man, you flew up awfully fast and ran to that door.
Yeah, you see that? And I'm not even panting for my breath. You kind of don't realize how it's working until you do something. When I first went up the steps, it was like, oh man, I went up the steps and I didn't even huff and puff and have to sit. Simple little things, walking, you take for granted.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that story. We'll circle back to you and probably ask you a couple more questions later. All right. So our next panelist here is Jack. As you can see, he is quite the fisherman down in Florida, taking advantage of the warmth and sunshine. And so we will let Jack share his story. How's it going, Jack?
Doing great. How are you? I'm doing good.
Good. So if you don't mind, why don't you tell us just a little bit about life before valves?
Life before valves, when I was very active, I did a lot. I played softball competitively. I golfed competitively. I played horseshoes, and but my passion was bass fishing. And I did that competitively also in tournaments and USBA circuit throughout the country. Enjoyed that immensely. I just did a lot of athletic type stuff. Skiing, it was just a normal thing for me to do. I was just that kind of guy.
And when did you start to notice that your breathing was getting a little bit harder to do?
Probably about 5 years ago. I would do things like Randy said, simple things. And all of a sudden, I was gasping for air. And each time I would gasp longer, harder. And it really, it was scary. It got to a point that if I walked from my house to the mailbox, which is probably 60 feet, I would be out of breath. And I would stand at the mailbox and look at the letters, trying to get my breath so the neighbors wouldn't know, hey, he can't get back to the house. And then by the time I would get back to the house, I would have to stand at the steps before I could go in. And there were some scary times.
Wow. So what was it like when you found out about the Zephyr valves? Were you excited? Were you nervous? Were you anxious? How did that make you feel?
I found out from a friend of mine who went up north to Pennsylvania to visit a friend of his who was actually dying from COPD, as well as some black lung issues that he had. They both worked in the mines. My friend Chuck told me that his friend was actually dying. And the fella told him that he tried to get Zephyr Valves, but wasn't a candidate. So when Chuck told me, I was reaching for any and everything. It was, I was hurting. So I researched the valves on YouTube, and I found that it shows the procedure that the Zephyr valves, how it works, how they put them in the whole 9 yards. I found a doctor here in Florida that did it, and I contacted them, went for my testing as Randy did, and become a candidate. And I got the valves, and it's a whole new world.
That's great. So it sounds like it's impacted your life in a pretty positive way.
Oh, absolutely. My wife and I used to fish together. We line danced together. We did everything, had a good time. And then I slowly ran out of gas. I couldn't breathe. And when you can't breathe, you can't do nothing. And it becomes quite scary sometimes that there was a commercial of an elephant sitting on a lady and she couldn't breathe. And I saw that years ago. And then when the COPD took over, I felt it and I knew exactly what that commercial was about. But thank God, my friend that went up north, his buddy told him about them. And that's how I found out.
Wow. So now, maybe other than fishing, it sounds like you sent me a picture yesterday of this giant fish that you caught. So other than fishing, what are you looking forward to now that you can breathe?
Well, we are the head of our entertainment committee in our park where we live in our community. And I was kind of restricted to being able to go get involved with the shows and the showcases and talking to entertainers. And now I'm getting back into that. My wife's been carrying the load, bless her heart, but I'm doing that. I'm going to the stores. I'm just doing pretty much what I want to do. I just have to pace. And, but my recovery time with the valves, I push. I think I push myself sometimes too hard, but with the Zephyr valves, I just recuperate so fast that it's like, let's go push again. So.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing that story with us. We very much appreciate it. So here is Pamela. She is an educator, changing lives left and right. And she is now finally able to take a deep breath. She's back in the classroom where she loves to be. So Pamela, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Of course. All right. So now we'll jump right in. So I think one part about your story that I really love is the first place you went after you got your procedure.
Oh, the first place I went after I got my procedure. Oh, was it to the casino?
I mean, you told me jazz club.
Oh, yes, I went to the jazz club. I was very, very active. I mean, I did Vegas, I did jazz club, I did line dancing, salsa dancing. I was just a very active person. I love people. I love to have fun. I love family. I love children. And then I have 20 years in the military too. So I was just a very active person before developing COPD.
So when did you sort of realize that your breathing was starting to get a little harder than it used to be?
Mine was really progressive. Like at first I was diagnosed with asthma. And so they had me on inhalers and I was doing the asthma. And then it just kept getting worse and it kept getting worse. And they kept giving me more inhalers, but they weren't working. I finally got diagnosed the day that I went into the emergency room, and I woke up 2 weeks later because I had been on a vent. I was on a vent. And when I woke up, that's when the pulmonologist said, you have severe COPD. But I lived through it. I came off the vent. I went to rehab. And then that was just my life then. It was just slow going. It took me an hour and a half to get dressed. If I wanted to go somewhere with my family, I wanted to go somewhere with my friends, I would have to get up like at 6 o'clock just to be ready for a 9 o'clock to go to breakfast, or if I wanted to go to church. It just took that long just to put a shirt on, and you had to sit down and relax. So it was miserable. It was very miserable.
What was the one thing that you realized that you couldn't do that really kind of like made you the saddest?
Being active with in the community, because by nature I am a social worker and an educator. So that's what made me the saddest, is that I could not hold a conversation long. I couldn't stand to teach. I had to sit. And then that's when I started getting the oxygen. That was another thing that I had to learn, how to hook up oxygen, how to take tanks. And then you got your tank, you got your purse. You just got so many things going on. It was like, oh my God, that was worse.
How did the Zephyr Valves impact your life so far?
I'm back. I am back. I was not as, I woke up, mine was immediately when I woke up, I could breathe. I could just take a deep breath in and could breathe. My chest wasn't heavy any longer. I could just breathe. And I was like, this is good. I like this. Gave me back my life. It gave me that second chance. A year ago, I had my Zephyr valve on March 8th, 2021. And a year from there, I'm back in the classroom teaching. I'm back in the community educating. And I'm back having fun with friends and going to church and being active.
There is a complication with Zephyr valves called a pneumothorax. And Pamela, I think you had that right after your procedure. Can you kind of just talk about that experience?
Yeah, about 48 hours after the procedure, they got me up to go to the restroom. And on my way back, I just kind of felt a pop, and I told them I couldn't breathe. They went into what they do, the nurses and doctors and everything went into what they did do, and my lung did collapse. I did have a collapsed lung. And they put the tube in, and so I was in the hospital that extended time. Usually it's like 3 to 4 days, but I was there for a week and a half because of the collapsed lung. So those things can happen. Doesn't necessarily mean they will happen. It just happened to me. Yes.
Right. And having gone through that, if someone asked you to get the valve procedure again, would you do it?
Oh, yes. It's like anything else that we do in life. Things happen, but you keep moving, you keep going. I wouldn't even say it was a step back. It was just part of the process.
What are you most looking forward to now? And maybe you've already done it, but something that you haven't done yet that you're now able to do.
Get back in a plane and travel. My next stop is Hawaii.
Ooh, so thank you so much. So now we're going to do a quick Q&A. So thank you so much to Randy and to Jack, and featuring Diana and Pamela for sharing your stories. On our website, on mylungsmylife.com/patient stories, there are other patient stories too that you can read. Maybe there's a patient in your area, and you can read all of their experiences. about their Zephyr valves. So let's go into some Q&As here. Let me pull it up. So the first question, let's see, we can ask everyone. We'll start with Randy here. One of the questions is, what milestones do you have to overcome to qualify for the valves? So maybe Randy, do you want to quick talk about like the testing that you went through?
Yeah, we had to do the 6-minute walk, which is going for 6 minutes walking. They have a pulse oximeter and they want to see what your O2 levels drop to. And then you had to have a cardiac stress test, stress echo. And then I got all those, and then you're good for the Zephyr.
Gotcha. Yeah, and there's and again on our website we have kind of the everything you need to know about the testing. There's some numbers that you have to meet, some parameters to continue on. But yeah, the testing kind of gets you into the process for sure. Pamela, did you have any similar experience with your testing as well?
Testing it's intense. I will say it's intense. You have several tests that you have to go through. That blood gas, is the worst, but you make it through it. You make it through it. And the Randy said, the 6-minute walk, the breathing test. Oh my God, what else? Chest x-rays, that's pretty easy.
Jack, are you, did you do or are you doing pulmonary rehab?
No, I did not. I got the valves. I was in the hospital for 3 days. At the end of the 3 days, I was pretty much off oxygen. I walked out of the hospital. They make you roll out in a wheelchair, but I walked out without oxygen on. So no, I didn't have to do anything. It was great. I had no problems. I was in 45 minutes. They put the valves in and I was in my room. I had 3 days. They watched it. They monitored me. They took x-rays every day. And 3 days later, I'm gone. All good. And it's great.
Randy, did you have pulmonary rehab or did you do pulmonary rehab?
Yeah, I did pulmonary rehab. I did it twice. This once was before, and then when I found out about the Zephyr, I had to go again. But my FEVs, there was 19, and after the Zephyr valves were put in place, it's up to 39% now. So that's a big jump, 20 points up from what it was.
Can you kind of talk about a little bit of pulmonary rehab, maybe for those attendees here, people watching maybe aren't familiar with what pulmonary rehab is or what it does?
Oh, it's just you go in and you do the little 6-minute walk. Let's have to see what you can do for 6 minutes. And then they give you exercises and they're right there with you. And I think doing the treadmill by the end of the program, which was 2 months, I could do the treadmill for 25 minutes without oxygen. So that's a big change.
Amazing.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Pamela, what about you? Did you do pulmonary rehab?
I did pulmonary rehab for 90 days. I did it for 3 months. The bike, the treadmill, I was 30 minutes on the bike and 45 minutes on the treadmill. So it was good. It was good. And they strengthen your chest muscles. They have you doing certain exercises to strengthen your chest muscles, your leg muscles. It's really head to toe. They work on everything.
So I know, insurance comes up a lot and people have a lot of questions about insurance and, coverage and all of that. So Jack, do you want to walk through your insurance challenges that you had?
Well, in the testing, I kind of, the 6-minute walk, like I said before, I'm a pusher. I push myself. And in that 6 minutes, I thought they wanted me to go a long time or a long distance in 6 minutes. And I gasped myself out. And the test numbers didn't come up so good in that certain area. So the doctor said, you may have a problem with your insurance company. We're going to go ahead and send it in anyway. And the insurance company said, yeah, it's okay. And I got approved.
Randy, did you have any insurance issues at all?
No, I didn't have any issues.
And so I guess maybe one last question before we wrap it up for each of you. And we'll start with Pamela. What is a message that you would like to share for those people that are struggling with COPD and maybe think that there's nothing left out there for them?
I would like to share that there is hope, and there's a procedure called the Zephyr Valve. And what I would like for you to do is do your due diligence, investigate it, and go for it. Go for the gusto, because you just don't know that this may be your second chance in life. A year from now, 6 months from now, 3 months from now, you're going to have the biggest smile, and you're going to thank your lucky stars that you did this.
Wow, that is great. And Jack, what about you? What is your message to people?
It's just like Pamela. Research it, look into it. Most people out there now have the smartphones. They're very smart. Push your phone at the bottom and go to YouTube. Ask YouTube, show me the Zephyr valve procedure. They will show you everything. You can scroll through all the information that you're looking for. You can find doctors in your area, and it is a blessing. Go for it. Pamela is so right. Go for the gusto. It's the second greatest thing I've ever done in my life. The first thing sitting next to me.
So sweet. I was waiting for that. So nice. All right. And then last but not least, Randy, what about you? What is your message to those of us out there who could use a Zephyr valve?
Go for it. Find out everything you can about it. Even if it was brought on by smoking. My doctor said everybody deserves the freedom and the right to be able to breathe. She didn't, chastise me, because smoking is what brought mine on. And I quit. I can't believe it, but I quit before, of course, they would do the procedure. And there's also a forum on Facebook, COPD Daily, that people talk about it, their problems, medicines, and I'm always putting the Zephyr valve out there because a lot of them haven't heard about it. And I told them to Google the page and you'll find out, a lot about it. But you gotta look for it and see if you're a candidate, and if you are, you're a lucky person.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I'm gonna jump back into our presentation here, and that brought up a great segue here. So this is kind of a snapshot of our locator on our website. And then just really quickly, if we didn't get to answer your question, we will send you an email after the webinar. But among the many great resources that we have on our website is our physician locator at mylungsmylife.com. So all you need to do is you type in your city or your zip code and hit search, and the centers closest to you will populate. And then as you can see here, you have the doctor names, the address, phone number, and anything like that. And you can call and speak with someone to schedule an appointment. Again, our website is here, mylungsmylife.com. If you also want to speak to someone live, we have a Zephyr Care team. Their number is right there on your screen, 833-654-COPD. And they can answer any questions that you have and even connect you with the treating center closest to you. And then we also on our website offer a chat feature, so you can type in your question and chat with someone live, and then get your questions answered that way. Again, thank you so much to our panelists, to Randy, to Jack, to Pamela, and everyone who joined today. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to us, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.